بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم۔ السلام علیکم خواتین و حضرات، ادارہ جعفریہ سے حاضر خدمت ہیں۔ مجلس ایصال ثواب کے لیے مرحومہ سیدہ سید فاطمہ دختر سید غلام عباس رضوی کی ایصال ثواب کے لیے یہ مجلس آج منعقد ہو رہی ہے۔ میں قبل اس کے شہباز صاحب کو زحمت دوں سلام و برسی کے لیے تمام خواتین و حضرات سے جو آن لائن ہیں درخواست کروں گا کہ سورہ فاتحہ کے لیے ایصال ثواب کریں۔ محترمہ سیدہ سید فاطمہ دختر سید غلام عباس رضوی اپنے مرحومین کے لیے اور ملت جعفریہ کے تمام شہداء کے لیے۔ صلی اللہ علیہ محمد وعلی محمد وجل فرجہم۔ اس مجلس سے خطاب فرمائیں گے ہمارے عظیم عالم جناب شیخ جلیل۔ اب میں درخواست کروں گا شباہت حسین صاحب سے تشریف لائیں، سلام اور مرثیہ پیش کریں گے جناب شباہت حسین۔
السلام علیکم مومنین و مومنات۔
السلام۔
جعفری صاحب میں لائیو ہوں نا، اس میں صحیح آ رہا؟
بالکل آپ صحیح آ رہے ہیں۔
چار مصرے کیونکہ ایصال ثواب کی مجلس ہے جناب فاطمہ کی شان میں۔ آئین نظام پیمبر ہے فاطمہ، آئین نظام پیمبر ہے فاطمہ، حضور ایمان میں علی کے برابر ہے فاطمہ، ان کے یہاں خزانہ تطہیر کیوں نہ ہو، حضور 11 امام بیٹوں کی مادر ہے فاطمہ، 11 امام بیٹوں کی مادر ہے فاطمہ۔ خواتین و حضرات، آج جس خاتون کی ایصال ثواب کے لیے ہم لوگ اکٹھا ہوئے ہیں، سید فاطمہ، وہ میری ماں کی حیثیت رکھتی تھیں، اور کئی سال پہلے حسن محمد انکل کویت سے یہاں تشریف لائے تو ایک نعمت کی شکل میں ہماری کمیونٹی میں تشریف لائے۔ اتنا سارا علم کہ ہر دوا اور ہر تکلیف کا علاج قرآن کے آیتوں سے دم دے کے تمام مومنین کو دواؤں سے یا جو بھی ان کی کوشش ہو سکتی تھی اس سے فائدہ پہنچاتے تھے، علماء سے باتیں کرتے تھے، سیکھتے تھے، اور وہ سیکھی ہوئی چیزیں ہم تک پہنچاتے تھے۔ اور اسی درمیان سید فاطمہ آنٹی سے میری ملاقات ہوئی، ان کا ہسمکھ چہرہ ابھی بھی میرے سامنے ہے۔ ایک بہت ہی بڑی مومنہ تھیں، اور مجھے بعد میں پتہ چلا کہ کویت میں جب یہ لوگ رہتے تھے تو اعضاء خانے کی خدمت کس طرح سے کرتے تھے کہ حسن انکل تبرک کا اہتمام کرتے تھے اور 50 میل ڈرائیو کر کے وہ تبرک اعضاء خانے تک لے جاتے تھے۔ تو یہ لوگ میرے نظر میں بہت ہی بڑی ہستیاں ہیں کہ ایک کو تو ہم نے کھو دیا، بارگاہ رب العزت میں دعا ہے کہ حسن انکل جو ابھی اچھا نہیں فیل کر رہے ہیں پوری طرح سے صحت یاب رہے، سلامتی دے ان کی، اور ہمارے سروں پہ ان کا سایہ برقرار رہے۔
الہی آمین۔
بلا کسی تاخیر کے اسی موضوع پہ سلام کے چند اشعار پیش کرتا ہوں، اور جس کا مفہوم یہ ہے کہ یہ جو ماں کی ہستی ہوتی ہے یہ کتنی عظیم ہوتی ہے، اور جو ہمیں بچے ملتے ہیں جیسے حسن رضا، روحی بہن، اور ان کو دیکھتے ہیں کہ اعضا خانے میں مولا کے کام میں کس طرح سے پیش رہتے ہیں، یہ کوئی اتفاق نہیں ہے، یہ ایسی ماں کی اولاد ہیں جن کی ماں کی دعاؤں سے ان کو یہ نصیب ملا ہے۔ تو اسی سلسلے میں سلام کے چند اشعار پیش خدمت ہیں۔ عجب اجل جب آ کے کسی ہم نوا سے ملتی ہے، اجل جب آ کے کسی حق نوا سے ملتی ہے، نئی حیات اسے کربلا سے ملتی ہے، نئی حیات اسے کربلا سے ملتی ہے۔ غلام آل نبی کو کہیں بھی دفن کرو، غلام آل نبی کو کہیں بھی دفن کرو، یہ خاک جا کے در فاطمہ سے ملتی ہے، یہ خاک جا کے در فاطمہ سے ملتی ہے۔ نئی لحد میں تیرگی سعید کی کیوں ہوتی بھلا، لحد میں تیرگی سعید کی کیوں ہوتی بھلا، اجالا قبر میں خاک شفاعت ملتی ہے، اجالا قبر میں خاک شفاعت ملتی ہے۔ اور جو میں نے اولاد کے سلسلے میں عرض کیا تھا، شباہت الفتح حیدر عظیم نعمت ہے، شباہت الفتح حیدر عظیم نعمت ہے، جسے بھی ملتی ہے ماں کی دعا سے ملتی ہے، جسے بھی ملتی ہے ماں کی دعا سے ملتی ہے۔ اجل جب آ کے صلوات صلی اللہ حضرات مومنین، آپ سے ایک بار پھر گزارش ہے کہ مرحومہ سعید فاطمہ کے لیے ایک سورہ الحمد اور 3 مرتبہ سورہ اخلاص کی تلاوت کریں، کو بخش دیں۔ ایک سورہ فاتحہ شہیدان کربلا کے لیے۔ مرثیے کے 5-6 بند پیش خدمت ہے۔ آج آج شبیر پہ کیا عالم تنہائی ہے، آج شبیر پہ کیا عالم تنہائی ہے، ظلم کی چاند پہ زہرا کے گھٹا چھائی ہے، اس طرف لشکر آدھا میں سفار آئی ہے، یا نہ بیٹا نہ بھتیجا نہ کوئی بھائی ہے، یا نہ بیٹا نہ بھتیجا نہ کوئی بھائی ہے، برچیاں کھاتے چلے آتے ہیں تلواروں میں، مار لو پیاس کو ہے شور ستمگاروں میں، مار لو پیاس کو ہے شور ستمگاروں میں، زخمی بازو ہے کمر خم ہے بدن میں نہیں تاب، ڈگمگانے میں نکل جاتی ہے قدموں سے رکاب، پیاس کا غلبہ ہے لب خشک ہے آنکھیں پرآب، تیغ سے دیتے ہیں ہر وار کا آدھا کو جواب، تیغ سے دیتے ہیں ہر وار کا آدھا کو جواب، شدت ذوق سے جس جا پہ ٹھہر جاتے ہیں، سینکڑوں تیر ستم تن سے گزر جاتے ہیں، سینکڑوں تیر ستم تن سے گزر جاتے ہیں، برچھیا کر کوئی سینے پہ لگا جاتا ہے، مارتا ہے کوئی نیزہ تو گشا جاتا ہے، بڑھتے ہیں زخم بدن زور گھٹا جاتا ہے، بند آنکھیں ہیں سر پاک جھکا جاتا ہے، بند آنکھیں ہیں سر پاک جھکا جاتا ہے، گرد زہرا علی گریہ کنا پھرتے ہیں، غل ہے گھوڑے سے امام دو سرا گرتے ہیں، غل ہے گھوڑے سے امام دو سرا گرتے ہیں، زیست ہوتا ہے جدا دوش محمد کا مکین، چمن فاتح مکہ سرد ہے مائل بزمین، برچھیاں گرد ہیں اور بیچ میں ہے سروردی، ہے یہ نزدیک گرے مہر نبوت کا نگین، ہے یہ نزدیک گرے مہر نبوت کا نگین، پاؤں ہر بار رکابوں سے نکل جاتے ہیں، یالی کہتی ہے زینب تو سنبھل جاتے ہیں، یالی کہتی ہے زینب تو سنبھل جاتے ہیں، کوئی سید کا نہیں آہ بچانے والا، ہر بلاکھوں ہے اور ایک زخم اٹھانے والا، کوئی نہیں پانی پلانے والا، سنبھل کس طرح بھلا برچیاں کھانے والا، سنبھل کس طرح بھلا برچیاں کھانے والا، چرخ سے آگ برستی ہے زمین جلتی ہے، مار گرمی کے زباں خشک ہے لو چلتی ہے، مار گرمی کے زباں خشک ہے لو چلتی ہے۔ آخری بند ہے، کہیں دم لینے کو سایہ نہیں ہے وقت زوال، اینٹھی جاتی ہے زباں پیاس کی شدت ہے کمال، کبھی زینب کا ہے غمگاہ سکینہ کا خیال، دن جو ڈھلتا ہے تو حضرت ہوئے جاتے ہیں نڈھال، دن جو ڈھلتا ہے تو حضرت ہوئے جاتے ہیں نڈھال، مثل خورشید بدن ذوق سے تھراتا ہے، قمر برج امامت پہ زوال آتا ہے، قمر برج امامت پہ زوال آتا ہے، آج شبیر پہ کیا عالم تنہائی ہے۔
جزاک اللہ برادر شواد حسین صاحب۔ خواتین و حضرات، یہ مجلس سال ثواب کی منعقد ہو رہی ہے برائے سیدہ بیگم، جن کی چند روز قبل انتقال ہوا، ان کی سال ثواب کے لیے مجلس منعقد کی جا رہی ہے۔ اور now I will request to Sheikh Jalil to address the majlis. Sheikh Abdul Jalil.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله رب العالمين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، سيدي وحبيبي ونور قلبي، طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها أبي القاسم محمد، اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا، اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. My dear brothers and sisters, I'd like to humbly request dua amman yujib for our father Hassan Muhammad. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him the fastest shifa, the fastest recovery. So please, Surah Al-Mubarakati amman yujib, for him, may Allah give him fastest shifa. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء، 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 باسمك العظيم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله، يا الله 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 يا الله، يا مجيب دعوة المضطرين، أجب المضطر بحق المضطر عليك، صل على محمد وآل محمد. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And also I would like to request Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha for the soul of his wife, Al-Marhuma Sayyida Sa'id Fatima bint Sayyid Ghulam Radwi. May Allah be pleased with her soul. Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. قال الله العلي العظيم في كتابه الكريم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وأنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Tonight, as we dedicated tonight to remember a mother and the daughter, Sayyida Sa'id Fatima, and for her majlis, I would like to share some light about the stages we go through from the time of death till the day of Qiyamah. What are the situations a person goes through? And when I say a person, I mean you and I. Because sooner or later, we're going to go there too. And that is why the Quran refers to death as past tense. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this ayah to the Prophet. The Prophet was still alive, and Quran said to him, إِنَّكَ مَيِّتٌ. Ya Rasulullah, you are dead, you are deceased. But Rasulullah was breathing, he was still alive then. But because it's a sunnah or custom of the Quran that when something is going to happen for sure, then Quran refers to it past. As if Quran wants to tell you, even though it hasn't happened yet, but it's like already done. And that is the custom of Quran. So when we talk about the stages a person goes through, I'm talking about me, talking about you. Because a time will come, sooner or later we will go through that. And the ayah we just read in Surah Al-Munafiqun, ayah number 10, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remind us, وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ فَيَقُولُ لَوْ رَبِّ لَوْلَا أَخَّرْتَنِي إِلَى أَجَلٍ قَرِيبٍ. We all know what the death is about. We all know someday, somehow, we will die. It's one of the very, very little things or few things in life that we don't dispute. Anybody agrees. Even the atheists agree someday they will die. Christians, they believe they're going to die. Everyone, we all agree on that. I might not agree with you there is God, but I agree with you that there is death. Someday we will die. But the question remains, as a Muslim, what happens at that moment, the time of death? How does it happen? Ahlul Bayt and the Quran give us a lot of detail. And there is two things we have to keep in mind. One is what is happening to the person who is in that transition, leaving this world and changing that world. Right? There are things he or she is going through. And at the same time, there is responsibility on us too, around the person. There's two responsibilities we have to know. One is, what is the mayyit or the person dying going through? And then the people around him. There's a responsibility we need to do. The first thing that Quran tells us, the moment the person realized, right, the person realized that I'm dying. That is the moment is called Sa'atun Nadama, the time of regret. Every person at that moment, you, whether you're mu'min or mu'mina or kafir or kafira, is the time of regret. Now what is that regret? A mu'min regrets because that is the time you get to know the importance of things that you never knew before. Then you regret there is no time to go back and fix it. A mu'min realizes, I pray Salat al-Layl, for example. I pray my Salat on time for the most part. But now at the time of death, I realize how important praying on time is. But can I go back and fix this? The days that I didn't pray on time? No, you can't. That's the regret for mu'min. A kafir, I didn't believe in certain things. I called certain things lie. Now I realize, no, it's not what I thought. Can I go back? No, you cannot. It's over. And you can see this example with Fir'aun. Fir'aun at the moment of death. Fir'aun lived all his life, doesn't believe in any creator. As a matter of fact, calls himself he's the God. He told Bani Israel, I quote, Quran says, Ma alimtu lakum min ilahin ghayri. That's Fir'aun saying. I don't know of any God for you Egyptians beside myself. And I'm the only God that you have. Right? Not only that, he says, and Quran quote, وَهَذِهِ الْأَنْهَارُ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِي. See, all this river that flows, all under my command and power. But that moment of transition for Fir'aun, the word changed. What did he say? آمنت بالذي آمنت به بنو إسرائيل. Now I believe, Now remember the Quran tells you and I, that the moment was, before this, he was telling those people who believe, the magicians, that آمنتم قبل أن آذن لكم. You believing in God and Musa before you got my permission? Who are you to believe this without my permission? He even threatened them, لَأُقَطِّعَنَّ أَيْدِيَكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ مِنْ خِلَافٍ وَلَأُصَلِّبَنَّكُمْ. I will hang you. I will crucify you. That's what he was telling them. Because he doesn't believe what they believe in. But the moment of death, the tone changed. The word changed. He says, Amantu. No aslamtu. Amantu. I believe. Ma amanat bihi banu Israel. That is the moment of regrets of whatever happened in my life. So that moment, it happened for everyone. Mu'min, Muslim, muttaqi, Because the time this becomes apparent for me and you. How does it happen? That moment, it happens the moment the angel of death appeared. A minute before that, a person is okay. Now, the moment the angel of death appears, shows himself to the mar'um, to the person dying, because when he comes, the only person who can see him is the dying person. You know, you and I could be next to the person and we can't see anything. And Quran tells you, فَلَوْلَا إِذَا بَلَغَتِ الْحُلْقُومِ وَأَنْتُمْ حِينَئِذٍ تَنْظُرُونَ. Quran said that's all you do. You can watch the person, but you don't know what is happening. Inside and outside. In private with the person and also around him. You don't know anything. So that moment starts with the angel of death coming. And this angel of death, the moment he comes, the body starts to show some signs. And that is where our responsibility comes in. And we have to be very careful when we happen to be around a person who's sick and we see some signs is coming from Imam Ali alayhi salam. He said, number one, if the person is mu'min or mu'mina, you have to start to see some sweat on the forehead. The person, the moment the angel of death appears, you see he or she is sweating from the forehead here. How do we know that? Imam Ali alayhi salam tells you. At the time of death of Imam Ali alayhi salam, he was sweating too. Imam al-Hasan asked him, Ya Aba, mali araka kada araka jabinuk. Why do I see your forehead is sweating? What happened? Imam Ali answers, Bunay al-Hasan, سمعت من جدك رسول الله. I heard the Prophet says, أن المؤمن إذا نزل به الموت أرق جبينه وسكن أنينه. These are two signs Imam Ali gave. Number one, you see the forehead is sweating. Now that should tell you the person is what? Mu'min. That's the sign of a mu'min when they die. That is the signal they're giving to you and I around him. Right? Number two, وَسَكَنَ أَنِينُهُ. Then you start to see the person, the talking, the movement, things becomes calming down now. In other words, medically, what do they say? The organs start to shut down. That's what you call medically. The organs start to shut down. Slowly. That is the sign. Now, this first situation, what should we do? Me and you around the person. Number one, immediately we should, if possible, turn the person facing towards the Qibla. That's what we should do. Immediately, if possible. Now sometimes in hospitals, you can't. Oh, that's one thing. Now, but if you can, like at home or the hospital have a room that you can turn, the person should be faced towards the Qibla. How? He has to be laying down in a way, if he or she is to sit down, they will be facing towards the Kaaba. In other words, find a Qibla and have them laying towards that direction. That's number one we should do in that first situation. Number two, we should not have bad people around the person. What do I mean? When people who are not practicing, people we know they're openly doing haram, they shouldn't be around them. You know why? Because at that point, the person can smell the evil acts. At that moment, you know, inshallah, someday we will talk about, you know, our Urafa, they said, sin has a very bad smell. But because me, right, in this world, kashaf, when we live under what? Under a veil. So we can't see, we can't smell. But at the time of death, that veil is lifted. So any person who happen to be a sinner openly, it's obvious. The person cannot stand it because the bad smell. So those people shouldn't be around. If they're there, they should be told to leave. That's number 2. Number 3. Immediately, someone or some people should start reading Surah Yasin and Surah Safat. Surah Yasin and Safat, what it does, it makes the person's transition much easier, makes it smoother. That is number 3 we should do. Number 4, if it happened that the person is at home, right? It is home and this situation is happening, then if the person has what we call musalla, a place that they normally pray all the time, and this is something we have to have. At your home, you have to have a place that you dedicated praying most of the time. Now, if it's at home, then it is recommended for the person to be taken to that place. At the place where he normally prays. Now the reason is because that also makes the transition much easier for that person. That's something we should do. Now another one we should do. Someone should be next to that person, right? And what should they do? They should start talqeen. You know, most of the time we think talqeen is what? After that. Talqeen start from there. At the time of ihtidar, or in other words, we call it sakaratul maut, transition. That time we need to remind the person his belief and his faith. While somebody is reading Quran, somebody is doing dua, somebody should be repeating the talqeen. But talqeen is 2 kinds. There is one we read at the time when the person dies. But this talqeen is mainly to remind the person about his main belief, which is shahadatayn and plus the shahadatayn. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasul wa ashhadu anna Aliyan wa awladahu al-ma'sumin hujajullah. Keep repeating the person over and over. And it doesn't matter whether the person can hear you, can respond, or he cannot, doesn't matter. But it should be done. Because that is the time is needed. Now let me share with you a story why this particular time is extremely important. It is mentioned that there was an alim, a great scholar. Somebody gave him a parrot. A parrot was given to him as a gift. The alim, after some days, he developed the bond with that parrot. He takes it to the school, the student, while he's teaching, the parrot is sitting next to him. And the parrot, as you know, normally picks up the words and repeats the wording, the sentences. After some time, that parrot learned how to say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, the adhan, the iqam. And I'm sure some of you have seen sometimes on WhatsApp video people, send this kind of stuff. So the parrot developed how to say the shahada, how to say the salat and all of that. And everybody was amazed. But this parrot, how he can repeat exactly word by word, clearly. But this alim has a cat too in his house. Has a cat and he has a parrot. One day the alim was at home. What happened? The cat attacked the parrot. When the cat attacked the parrot, all the alim could hear from the parrot was the screaming, like when somebody's being pained. That's when the bird was screaming and crying and crying. By the time the alim come to see, the parrot was dead. Let's go. The alim started crying and crying and crying so that days passed by, he was crying. He came to school to teach his student, he was crying. One of the students said, yeah, teacher, why are you crying? Number one, it's a bird. And number two, you an alim, we're supposed to learn from you. But this crying for death of a bird is kind of weird. The alim said to the student, this is the lesson. The alim says, I'm not crying because I lost a bird. No, that's not my crying. But there was an instant that took place at the time of death where the bird that normally says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, calls adhan, calls this, that moment when the cat attacked that bird, the bird did not even remember to say shahada. Allah's name was completely out. He said, but that's not the point. He said, the point is, I'm afraid when the time of my death comes, I might not be able to say that. That is my worry. Not about the bird. The bird is dead, done. But what I learned from the incident that the cat attacked the bird, he said, I realized what the bird was saying all this time, it was just in the mouth and the beak, but it wasn't from the heart. And I am afraid when the angel of death appears for me, what I normally say, Ashhadu an la ilaha, in my adhan, in my iqamah, in my, I might not be able to say it at the time of death. And you know what they said? When the angel of death appears to a person, it becomes so difficult that you or me forget everything, including your own name. Can you imagine how difficult it is? That's what's called sakarat al-maut. Delusion of death. It takes away so much from you and me at that moment. That is why talqeen is important at that moment. Because the person is going through so much that you and I cannot even think of. And we need to be reminding the person. That's where the talqeen comes. That's the first talqeen. Now, not only the person goes through this, is only the talqeen. Now, the second thing the person goes through at that moment, which is called in fiqh, sa'atul ihtidar, or sakaratul maut. At that moment, the person realizes the importance of good deed. You know, today we are told, do good, do khair, do this. Yes, we hear, but we don't know how important this is. At the time of death, we realize, and that's what the ayah is talking about. That the ayah says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us, He said, وَأَنْفِقُوا, spend, give away, مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ, from what we, Allah, has given to you. Now, number one, there's two things here. One is, whatever you have is not yours. Because the ayah says, رَزَقْنَاكُمْ, we give it to you. We made you to be in charge of it, but you don't own it. That's what I said, razaqnakum, we gave it to you. Allah said, give it away. Share it with others. And here, when Allah said, وَأَنْفِقُوا, it doesn't mean money. It means every blessing you are being given by Allah. The knowledge you give, you are given, share it with others. A time I have in my hand, I can volunteer, do something, use it, make use of that. A talent Allah has given to me, I can help and share with those who might not have or who may need. I say, do it. All of this falls under وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you and I. He said, مِنْ قَبْلِ Spend before, not after, not at the time. No. من قبل, before أن يأتي أحدكم الموت. Before the death approach, before the death knocks at my door. So give it away. Sure. You know why? Because when the angel comes, the moment he shows up, that's it. Now I want to go do this. It's not, no. That at that moment, every door of good deeds is closed. A minute before he comes, a seconds before he comes, you are okay to do whatever you want to do. But the moment he shows up, that's it. من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم فيقول. At that moment, because people realize at that moment the importance of giving, the importance of sharing, then he says, رَبِّ لَوْلَا أَخَّرْتَنِ. Oh Lord, can you delay me a little bit? Can I have time? And the reason why Quran is reminding us here, because every day of our life is another time Allah is giving us. Every minute you have is a moment, opportunity Allah gives you. That would you do it? Are you going to take advantage of it or not? But remember, this opportunity is not forever. There's a time limit for it. And when the time finishes, it's it. Allah min qabli an ya'tiya ahadakumul maut fayaqul. Now listen carefully to the ayah. Fayaqul. This means when the time of death comes and the people and the person realizes the importance of where and he is or she's heading to, then that knowledge cause him or her to say fayaqul. Ay natija, which means the knowledge that he just got about the importance of good deeds, now he is now making a transition of something. What is it? فَيَقُولُ. Then he turns to Allah, which means, yeah, oh Lord, now I realize the importance of sharing, giving, doing good deeds. But can I get delayed 1 minute? 1 second, so I can do فَأَصَّدَّقْ, so I can give sadaqah. وَأَكُنْ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ, and I will be among the righteous ones. Now, let me say one thing here. Why did the mayyit or the person dying is talking about salihin? Why doesn't he say فَأَكُنْ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ? Why doesn't he say وَأَكُنْ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ? Why doesn't he say فَأَكُنْ مِنَ الْمُعْتَبِرِينَ? Something. Why? مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. You know, quickly, you know, Quran has two names, two wordings that Quran uses most of the time. One is Amalun Salih. One is called Salih. Right? Now, Amal Salih is about when a person starts acting, doing something good, but that action is not yet rooted in that person. Quran calls it Amalun Salih. But when those action becomes rooted in that person, it becomes part of the person, then it's called Fulan Salih. The person, he is not saying فَأَكُنْ مِنَ الْعَامِلِينَ الصَّالِحِينَ. No, he says فَأَكُنْ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. Then I will be counted those who the good deed has materialized in them, so that way I earn the highest position in the sight of Allah. But you know what Allah responds to the person? And this is to all of us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَن. Lan in Arabic, harf al-ta'bid. Never, never anyone. وَلَن يُؤَخِّرَ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهَا. No being, no soul will be given this opportunity. You know, you and I know one simple example. if you having to have a flight to catch, and they tell you the flight will leave at 3:30, for example, and you showed up at 3:30, for example, and the door is closed, you think they're going to open the door for you? That's it. Once the door is locked, it's closed, that's it. They're not going to open for me or for you. That's it. All right? Now, you are now missing the flight. You can catch the next one. That's it. But that flight is gone. That's it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the same thing. When the door of death is open, that's it. You can get out of it. Allah said, وَلَنْ يُؤَخِّرَ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهَا وَاللَّهُ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. Allah said, but I'm all aware about all your deeds. To that moment is the moment of realization, the importance of good deeds. Now, not only that, they say another thing the persons realized at that moment, the importance of wilayah, being the follower of Ahlul Bayt. Because at the time of death, the people or the person realized the importance of being the follower of Ahlul Bayt. Let me give you an example, brothers and sisters. We live in this world. And maybe most of us might know this, especially back home, like in Africa, in Asia. If by chance a person has, you get into trouble with the government or with the law, if you have good ties with people who are in hierarchy, what happens? They come to rescue you, to help you out. It's very easy. Even here in America, it happens too. You see the president can pardon certain people because of his position, right? Now, it's a common thing that happens everywhere. Now, even in Barzakh, or even at the time of death, when that angel shows up, your wilayah, having that connection with Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, it comes handy. And that is also one of the reasons why talqeen is important. That Imam Ali alayhi salam specially shows up at the time of death. No person dies without seeing Imam Ali at that moment. يا أهل همدان من يمت منكم من مسلم أو كافر يرني قبلا. Honestly, nobody who dies, whether it's mu'min or kafir, you're going to see me before you die. That's for sure. Now, why for mu'min? Yes, he comes to intercede. For a kafir, he comes, yes. But that coming becomes more sorrow on top of the soul. Because the Quran says, وَيَوْمَ يَعَبْدُ الظَّالِمُ عَلَىٰ يَدَيْهِ. Right? The day that the zalim, the tyrant, will just bite his finger and says, يَا لَيْتَنِي لَمْ أَتَّخِذْ فُلَانًا خَلِيلًا. I wish I didn't take this person a friend. Right? Because why? لَقَدْ أَضَلَّنِي أَنَا الذِّكْرِ. Because he misguided me. But when you follow the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, what do? They take you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that moment we realize the importance of what? The importance of wilayah. And that is why talqeen becomes handy. Now, as the person going through this, with the talqeen, with the Quran, with the dhikr, with the dua, and so on. Now, if the person pass that moment, the second stage comes in. Now, the first one is halat sakarat al-maut. Now, when the person leaves this world and became marhum, that moment immediately there are things we have to do too. Number one, the person should never be left alone. Never, unless if it comes through, the person have to be taken to a place, like what they do here, where we have no choice. But if there is a choice, a marhum should never be left alone until he or she is buried. You know why? because that's called Sa'atil Wahsha, the time of loneliness. You know why? Because at the time of death, one of the regret that the person goes through is that everything he owns, everything he works for, now they're there, but cannot do anything for him. And the only thing that he relies on is his good deeds. And the only thing else that can help is the family. With your dua, your sadaqah, your things you do for them. So that is the crucial time where the mayyit or the mar'um needs us. That is why they say, even the night of burial, when we bury a mar'um or mar'uma, they said we should spend the longest time there. Even if the other people can leave, yes, but the family should stay there as long as they can, because it helps the mar'um or mar'uma at that moment. So when the person dies, now immediately what do we need to do? Right? Now keeping the person facing towards the Qibla, that stays the same. That doesn't change. Number two, turning the lights on. Don't leave the person alone, because sometimes when the person dies, normally we leave, we lock the door, everybody's up. No, we are to leave, to be there and turn on more lights around the person. And number three, we are then to tell the good mu'mineen and mu'minat to start the dua. Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah Al-Ikhlas, dua, that's when what he or she needs at that moment. Another thing we have to do for the body, making sure that the eyes is closed properly. Making sure the mouth is closed properly. Making sure that the legs are stretched properly. Because as you know, when a person dies, immediately the body can be moved around and put in the shape that you want it, right? But after some times when the body becomes cold, now you can't. So at that moment, you are to straighten the arms, the legs, and make sure that everything is taken care of. And then on top of that, the next thing we have to do is to check the will of the person. If the person has a will, wasiyah, that you hold. Nothing should be done. Oh, we want to make sure that if the person has a will, what he or she wrote that they want should be done exactly, unless if it becomes beyond our control. That is our responsibility. Now, not only that, the next thing that remains at that moment is also Surah Yasin and Safat should not stop. Even at that moment. Before the death and after death. Another thing we need to do for the mayyit at that moment also is the mayyit, after we found their will, we have to start doing exactly what they have put in there. Now if they don't have a will, the family should now decide what should be done, and everything should be done in the best interest of the man. Everything, right? Now, here there are two things here. One is Islam said there are things that Islam wants the family to do, and there are things other people, mu'minin and mu'minat, can do. Right? One of the things the family should be the first one to do, not outsiders, right, is al-ghusl. You know, we can invite other people to come and do it, that's fine. But the more what Islam recommends, it shouldn't be outside, it should be the family. And if the family, the mayyit is male, should be the male figures in the family, should be the one to do it. If it's a female, the family figures of the sisters should be the one to do it. Not vice versa. Except in one case, husband and wife. Islam has given that. A husband, when he passed, a wife, if she want to, and can't do it alone, she can. Or she can be there. That's fine. Or the other way around. If a wife dies, a husband can be there and give ghusl. That Imam Ali alayhi salam give ghusl for Fatima alayhi salam. It's allowed to do that. But other than that, this is the place where Islam recommends the family to do. But unfortunately, sometimes we don't want to do this. So what do? We put it on other people. Alright? But here is the wisdom you have to understand why Islam shares the responsibility. Now here, when people die, sometimes people don't die like normally how things supposed to be. When people die, sometimes they die and things comes out. Blood in the nose, ears, some things comes. Now you as a family, you are the best one to keep the secret of that person for you. Outsiders, they might come and do the ghusl, but guess what? They might take everything they see to publicize it. Not everybody can keep the secret. But you, for example, if a father dies and the son is given ghusl, do you think he's going to go and tell people what does it, unless something wrong with them? To keep the secret of the mayyit or marhuma is supposed to be done by the family. But if they cannot do, they should learn immediately and do it. Or have someone there to help them, but they should be the one doing it. Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam has emphasized on this. That's the second situation that we have to do as a people of the family. The ghusl, the kafan, the tahneeh, alright, the salat. Now, until this ghusl and ta'need and also kafan, these are a responsibility of the family. That Islam said they should be the one. Now salat, if they want somebody outside to do it, that's fine. Salat is open. If they have a reliable person within the family to do it, he can. Right? Now if they don't and they want to reach out to someone to do it, they trust, fine. Right? This is another point that Islam says, it can be done with either this or that. Now remember carefully. Now ghusl and kafan and ta'need, all of these are given to families. Now as-salat can be done by the family or can be done by outside. Right. Now carrying the body to the grave also can be done by the family and also by the outside. It's a shared. Right. Now putting the mayyit in the grave, that becomes the responsibility of the family, not outsiders. Right? Now, covering the grave, here Islam said it should be done by the outsiders, not the family. Families should not be the one covering the grave. And if there is nobody outsider to do it, that is what Islam says, a family can do it, but should be done with the back of their hand. Push it this way. Now what is the hikmah? The hikmah is burying a loved one. It doesn't look good that you are burying someone and covering the dust on the face of the person, and this is the person you love. Doesn't look good. So for that matter, Islam said that part, you as a family member, it shouldn't be you to do it. There should be outsiders to do that. Because for them, it doesn't look that hard. It doesn't look that too much for them to do it. So they can do it. But that part, you leave for outsiders. Then when it comes to the sadaqah and the list goes on, that is another situation. But every point, there is no time to go. When the person is placed at the time of ghusl, what happens? At the time of kafan, what happens? At the time of salat, what happens? All of these stages need some time. But death in general is something to remind all of us. And Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, on the day of Ashura, he remembers death. And he says, خُطَّ الْمَوْتِ عَلَى بَنِي آدَمَ. The death has been made mandatory upon the children of Adam, in the way that a girl puts necklace on their neck. That's how Allah put death on our neck. Because the Quran says, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Al-Imam Hussein alayhi salam, on the day of Ashura, he remembers that so many places. And he says, one of his statements, He says, إن لم يستقم دين محمد إلا بدمي فيا سيوف خذيني. In one of his saying, الموت أولى من ركوب العار والعار أولى من دخول النار. He said, الموت أولى, it's better to die. من ركوب العار, better than to be in front of Allah and be ashamed of what you have done for not standing for justice. He said, but remember, also being ashamed in front of Allah is better than entering the hellfire. But he mentioned death. الموت أولى من ركوب العار والعار أولى من دخول النار. And on that day, you see Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he gave all of his companions. After he gave up all of those companions, one by one, after they all died, he comes to say goodbye to his family. The difficult time on Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. As he comes into the tent to say goodbye to his family, his wife comes to him, Ya Aba Abdullah, can you ask water for this infant, Ali al-Asghar? She said, it has been 3 days. I'm not able to give him water, nor to even give him a milk. So can you ask the people for the water? Imam Hussein takes his son, Ali al-Asghar, and he comes in front of the crowd. In the narration, فَإِذَا هُمْ كَالسَّيْلِ, they are as ocean of people. And he said to them, Ya ma'shar al-qawm, in lam yakun lakum deen. If you have no religion, you have no God that you can hear, you can listen to his word. He said, at least be free in your thinking. And if you think, I am criminal, I'm here to fight you. Now, what is the crime of this infant? Can you give him water? Can you have some sympathy with this child? Some of them said, oh, give him water. Some said, don't give him water. Then the dispute started among them. Some are pro, some are anti. Give him, don't give him. Give him, don't give him. Back and forth. Omar bin Saad looks at one of the shooters that they have, La'natullahi, Harmala. And he said to him, Ya Harmala, I don't want this dispute to continue. I want you to kill that child to end dispute among my soldiers. Imam Hussein has spoken to them and he's waiting. What will be their response? Are they going to come and give the water? Are they going to take the child to go give him water? Because he said, if you don't trust me that I will go and give him water and bring him back to the mother. He said, then you take him, give him water, bring him back so I can send him back to school. All of this couldn't help. When Umar bin Sa'ad told Harmala to shoot and kill this infant, Ali al-Asghar was in the hand of his mother, waiting for the water to be given to him. Suddenly, Harmala took the arrow out and put it in his bow. He looked face towards Ali al-Asghar in the arm of his father. He shot Ali al-Asghar, and then the arrow came and slaughtered him from one Jibulabin to other Jibulabin. Imam Zayd al-Abidin salamullahi alayh, he said the entire tragedy of Karbala, the worst that hurts us for the most part is killing my brother Ali al-Asghar. He said, Wallah inna qatla akhi Ali al-Asghar laqad aharra qulubana. He hurt our heart so bad. They asked him, why did that hurt you so bad? He said, when my brother was struck with that arrow, he said, رأيت يرفرف بين يدي أبي كالطير المذبوح. He said, I saw him the way he was moving in the arm of my father. He said, it's like a bird that has been slaughtered, no wings to fly, and hasn't died to rest from the pain. He said, that is the scene that I saw my brother was going through at that moment. Imam Hussein alayhi salam was looking in the sky, looking what's going to happen. He saw the movement of his son was unusual. He looked down and he saw there was blood gushing from the neck of Ali al-Asghar. Imam Hussein put his hand under the neck of Ali al-Asghar. Surely the hand was filled with the blood. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he wiped on the face of Ali al-Asghar and he said to him, بني هكذا أريد أن تلقى جدك رسول الله. They said, this is how I want you to meet your grandfather Rasulullah. Why, ya Aba Abdullah? I want the blood to tell Rasulullah what you went through and how this Ummah have treated you. Imam Hussein alayhi salam put his hand under the neck of his son for the second time. The hand was filled with the blood. But this moment, Imam Hussein didn't wipe it up with the face of his son. He then threw it in the sky. The narrator says, فَلَمْ يَرْجَعَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ لَا وَلَا قَطْرًا. Not even drop of that blood came back. Why, ya Aba Abdullah? It's like I'm telling you, this blood, you be a stamp on the sky so that you too can tell the Prophet what you saw on the day of Ashura. Imam Hussein alayhi salam turned towards the tent. The clueless mother was running and she says, هل سقيت ولدي ماء وجئتني ببقيته. Have you given my son the water and brought me some of it? Then the thin voice, a very sad response from Aba Abdullah, خذي ولدك مذبوحا من الوريد إلى الوريد. Take your son who has been slaughtered from one jugular vein to other jugular vein. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. سورة المباركة الفاتحة for the روح of مرحومة سيدة سعيد فاطمة بنت سيد غلام رضوي. May Allah be pleased with him. سورة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
और अब शुजा हुसैन नवाखानी करेंगे. जनाब शुजा हुसैन.
क्या रहा खामोश के एक उदासी रह गई. क्या रहा खामोश के एक उदासी रह गई. क्या रहा खामोश के एक उदासी रह गई. सिर्फ रोने को मोहम्मद की नवासी रह गई. छीनता था शेर चादर और ज़ैनब बार बार. छीनता था اپنی چادر کے محافظ کو بلاتی رہ گئی، اور اے مسلمانوں تمہارے غیرتیں کیا ہو گئیں، اے مسلمانوں تمہارے غیرتیں کیا ہو گئیں، تم تماشائی تھے زینب منہ چھپاتی رہ گئی، قید میں والی سکینہ کو ملا بابا کا سر، قید میں والی سکینہ کو ملا بابا کا سر، منہ پہ منہ رکھ کر جو سوئی ماں جگاتی رہ گئی، اور ہر تماچے پہ سکینہ منہ پر رکھ کے ننھے ہاتھ، ہر تماچے پہ سکینہ منہ پہ رکھ کے ننھے ہاتھ، نیل رخ ساروں کو غازی کو دکھاتی رہ گئی، کیا رہا خیموں میں شکے ایک اداسی رہ گئی۔
یہ تھے شجاع حسین، اور اب میں درخواست کروں گا عادل رضوی سے ایک نغمہ پیش کریں گے۔ عادل رضوی۔
اللہم صلی علی محمد وعلی محمد۔ سینے پہ جو لکھی ہے وہ تحریر بہت ہے، سینے پہ جو لکھی ہے وہ تحریر بہت ہے، بخشش کے لیے ماتم شبیر بہت ہے، سینے پہ جو کیا فکر میری قبر میں کیوں ہوگا اندھیرا، کیا فکر میری قبر میں کیوں ہوگا اندھیرا، داغ غم شبیر کی تنویر بہت ہے، سینے پہ جو لکھی ہے، اور فرش غم شبیر ہی جنت ہے ہماری، زہرا کی دعاؤں کی یہ جاگیر بہت ہے، سینے پہ جو، اور تعجیل کرو مجلس سے شبیر بپا ہے، اس فرض میں ایک سانس کی تاخیر بہت ہے، سینے پہ جو، اور ملنے تو دو عباس کو لڑنے کی اجازت، 2,00,000 کو اس شیر کی شمشیر بہت ہے سینے پہ جو، مومن کے لیے شرط ہے اقرار ولایت، مسلم کے لیے نعرہ تکبیر بہت ہے سینے پہ جو، اور یہ تیر سے پہلو ہے ٹھہر جابن کاہل، نرنے سے گلے کے لیے یہ تیر بہت ہے سینے پہ جو، اور بھائی کہیں مقتل میں دکھائی نہیں دیتا، بے چین دل زینب دلگیر بہت ہے سینے پہ جو، اور قرآن نہ گر جائے کہیں خاک پہ لوگوں، سانس اکھڑی ہے زخمی تن شبیر بہت ہے سینے پہ جو، لکھی ہے وہ تحریر بہت ہے۔
خواتین و حضرات، یہ مجلس ایصال ثواب سیدہ سعید فاطمہ بنت غلام عباس رضوی کے لیے منعقد ہوئی تھی ادارہ جعفریہ کے زیر اہتمام تمام خواتین و حضرات سے جو اس وقت ہمارے ساتھ آن لائن ہیں، یہ درخواست ہے کہ ان کے شوہر اور حسن رضا کے والد سید حسن محمد صاحب بہت شدید دلیل ہیں، ہاسپٹل میں داخل ہیں، آپ تمام لوگوں سے دعا ہے، درخواست ہے کہ ان کے لیے صحت کی دعا کریں کہ اللہ ان کو بے وقت محمد و آل محمد جلد سے جلد صحت کاملہ عطا فرمائے۔ اور اس کے ساتھ ہی ہمارا آج کا پروگرام اب ختم ہوتا ہے، اجازت دیجیے، خدا حافظ۔